Aita for chipping dog poop into my neighbor's front yard? I bought my house about 3 months ago. When I moved in, I noticed there were a couple dozen lumps of dried dog dew on one side of my front yard. Before I mowed the first time, I went out and picked them up with a plastic bag over my hand. The next day I noticed a couple more fresh turds on my lawn, so I kept an eye out for the culprit. It didn't take long to realize that my next door neighbors have some sort of Benji-looking fluff ball of a pooch that they let out unattended a couple of times a day. The dog would sniff around for a while, then run over into my yard and poop every time. It was as if he were trained that way. The daily poo accumulation rate seemed to be 2 or 3. I hardly knew my neighbors, so I was hesitant to approach them with this sort of issue right out of the gate. I waited a couple of weeks, but I made sure to go out and pick up the poop while my neighbors were outside. One Saturday afternoon, I saw my neighbor out front while I was tending the garden. I said hello and started a simple conversation. After a few minutes, I mentioned the poop and said it would be appreciated if they could pick up after their dog. My neighbor laughed and said that's not from his dog. That there is a stray dog in the neighborhood that does that everywhere. What to do? I decided to train my video doorbell to the poop zone and set the sensitivity to high. Within a week, I had a robust collection of video evidence incriminating my neighbor's dog. I'm no poop pathologist, but it's also pretty clear to me that all the poo in my yard came from the same doggo bunghole. Armed with mountains of evidence, I took the opportunity to approach my neighbor's wife when she was walking the dog. I didn't go into forensic details, but simply asked her if she wouldn't mind picking up after her dog in my yard. She also denied it, and the conversation ended awkwardly at best. I spent several more days noodling over what to do and decided to take matters into my own hands. I pulled a pitching wedge out of my golf bag and proceeded to chip dog scat from my front yard into my neighbor's. Beyond solving my immediate problem, I could also work a bit on my short game. This went on for some time. It became a weekly ritual that I sort of enjoyed. I did it without shame and in broad daylight. Everything was copacetic until last Saturday. I was out doing my thing when my neighbor's wife barged out her front door screaming. She told me that I can't do that and called me every name in the book, including the obligatory a-hole word. I tried to keep my cool and told her that I was simply returning what was theirs. Last thing I heard was that she was calling the police as she left. I continued and finished up my chipping session. I never heard from the police, I haven't seen my neighbors' faces, and I haven't seen another poop on my lawn. I'll probably have a horrible relationship with my neighbors forever now, but my immediate problem is solved. Aita? NTA, you were simply returning their property. NTA, you are just kindly returning their property. However, you could have been a little more diplomatic, considering these will be your neighbors for some time and it would be best not to make them enemies. Maybe you could have shown them the video or some photos as evidence? NTA. But get a fence. NTA. Excellent solution to an irresponsible neighbor. NTA, you tried very nicely on more than one occasion to get them to pick up after their dog, not even keep it from your yard, just pick up after it. They denied it every time, knowing after the second time that you have photographic evidence that their dog is the culprit. NTA. Excellent work, classic r/petty revenge fodder right here. NTA, we did the same thing but used a garden spade. Long before video doorbell cameras, but we watched the same damn dog shit on our lawn almost daily, other neighbors, too. The owners couldn't have cared less. So, each time prior to mowing the lawn, we had to return the favor. NTA. Their asshole-ish behavior trumps yours, so it cancels out. NTA. Also, you can't have a horrible relationship with the neighbors, because you never had any relationship with them. Why would you want to anyway? They are entitled, liars, abusive and shitty. When I was a kid, we have an area outside our house that loads of teenagers congregated on each evening. My mom told them that she didn't mind them being there but to please take their rubbish home with them. If they didn't, she would collect it and dump it in their parents' gardens. They ignored her. Mom collected a few months' worth of rubbish, took it under cover of darkness and dumped it in a few of their parents' gardens. The littering stopped and the kids, now adults, commented on how good my mom got them. NTA, by the way, but do show them the video evidence you have. We really need that's an asshole move, but it's also hilarious tag, so in lieu of that, NTA. With all of the video evidence, why did you never show it to the neighbors? I still think that you are NTA, but you're sliding a little closer to ESH if you never bothered to show them your proof. They already know that it's their dog's poop, but until they see the proof, they'll continue to claim plausible deniability. Aita? Yes, Uda, but who cares? There is only victory here. NTA, if anything, you're a good neighbor returning lost goods. This was a delight. I feel like only an asshole would come up with this plan, but you're totally justified, and sometimes that's the way to deal with other assholes. NTA. I think the big question here is, did you use a 56 or a 52-degree wedge? I hope you kept those videos. For the police, I mean. NTA. Uda, but a completely justified and hilarious one. You enjoyed chipping shit into their yard, but they 1000% deserved it. Lamau. As a good neighbor and dog owner, you're NTA emo, but you better clean your damn clubs if you want to go golfing with your buddies. Just to add, I've owned my house for 12 years now and I get along with all my neighbors except one. The same one everyone has issues with on the street. People that are going to straight up lie instead of being an adult are shit people anyway. Sucks they are your neighbors, but calling authorities wouldn't have made it any nicer, and you could infer you were avoiding that for them to be nice. ESH. How hard would it have been to say, look, my doorbell camera recorded footage of your dog crapping on my lawn. And if the pooping and the denial about it continued, then you would have automatically not been the off from that point forward. I still think what you did is funny and more or less justified, but you definitely missed your opportunity to make your neighbors the bad guys. Now you're all assholes. NTA. Also, you write beautifully, that was lyrical. Nope. NTA. NTA. You attempted to address the issue in a reasonable fashion and that failed. As you said, you are only returning their property. ESH, that being said, sometimes you have to rise to the occasion of being a complete asshole to deal with another asshole. You/exploded brief, can you clarify for me? Did you show the video to the neighbors? I'm not a golfer. When I read the title and the first line about dried dog turds, I immediately got a visual of Op shoving the offending items into a wood chipper and spraying the results onto next door's property. Glad to understand, but this could be plan B. NTA. Your method is hilarious, but I think you would have been better served by calling someone police? Animal control? To help resolve the problem. Although I have to admit that your method seems to be effective. NTA. Their dog, their poop. It is that simple. Amazing way to return it though. NTA. You are a much better person than me and my husband. We are the posting it through the mail slot type. Lol. Hope you wrap the club in saran wrap first. ESH, because you were very passive aggressive, but your behavior is understandable. So, let's say you were an asshole with a justification, while they were plain ordinary assholes. I approve, thumbs up. NTA. But I haven't seen my neighbors' faces, and I haven't seen more feces. Would have been more poetically correct. Op waited long enough to see what type people they were and then treated them accordingly. My mama always told me to treat people how you want to be treated. But life has taught me that sometimes you have to treat people how they treat others. It's only fair. NTA. What shitty neighbors. If it happens in the near future again, maybe you should try practicing your flop shot and start aiming at their house instead of their yard. Need to practice all shots, right? NTA, of course. Automod, thanks for posting. This comment is a copy of your post so readers can see the original text if your post is edited or removed. This comment is not accusing you of copying anything. Read this before contacting the mod team. I bought my house about 3 months ago. When I moved in, I noticed there were a couple dozen lumps of dried dog dew on one side of my front yard. Before I mowed the first time, I went out and picked them up with a plastic bag over my hand. The next day I noticed a couple more fresh turds on my lawn, so I kept an eye out for the culprit. It didn't take long to realize that my next door neighbors have some sort of Benji-looking fluff ball of a pooch that they let out unattended a couple of times a day. The dog would sniff around for a while, then run over into my yard and poop every time. It was as if he were trained that way. The daily poo accumulation rate seemed to be 2 or 3. I hardly knew my neighbors, so I was hesitant to approach them with this sort of issue right out of the gate. I waited a couple of weeks, but I made sure to go out and pick up the poop while my neighbors were outside. One Saturday afternoon, I saw my neighbor out front while I was tending the garden. I said hello and started a simple conversation. After a few minutes, I mentioned the poop and said it would be appreciated if they could pick up after their dog. My neighbor laughed and said that's not from his dog. That there is a stray dog in the neighborhood that does that everywhere. What to do? I decided to train my video doorbell to the poop zone and set the sensitivity to high. Within a week, I had a robust collection of video evidence incriminating my neighbor's dog. I'm no poop pathologist, but it's also pretty clear to me that all the poo in my yard came from the same doggo bunghole. Armed with mountains of evidence, I took the opportunity to approach my neighbor's wife when she was walking the dog. I didn't go into forensic details, but simply asked her if she wouldn't mind picking up after her dog in my yard. She also denied it, and the conversation ended awkwardly at best. I spent several more days noodling over what to do and decided to take matters into my own hands. I pulled a pitching wedge out of my golf bag and proceeded to chip dog scat from my front yard into my neighbor's. Beyond solving my immediate problem, I could also work a bit on my short game. This went on for some time. It became a weekly ritual that I sort of enjoyed. I did it without shame and in broad daylight. Everything was copacetic until last Saturday. I was out doing my thing when my neighbor's wife barged out her front door screaming. She told me that I can't do that and called me every name in the book, including the obligatory a-hole word. I tried to keep my cool and told her that I was simply returning what was theirs. Last thing I heard was that she was calling the police as she left. I continued and finished up my chipping session. I never heard from the police. I haven't seen my neighbors' faces and I haven't seen another poop on my lawn. I'll probably have a horrible relationship with my neighbors forever now, but my immediate problem is solved. Aita? I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. You op are a legend. I laugh so hard at this. NTA, I wish I could be this calculated when planning revenge against my neighbors. NTA and killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. They actually do this in some countries. Dog owners have to submit their dog's DNA to a database. When they find some dog fouling, they test the DNA and return the poop to the rightful owner. NTA BTW, my neighbors on both sides let their dogs foul in my garden. It's annoying, but they mow my grass, so I say nothing. NTA. Maybe forward the video to animal control and let them deal with them. Lol, you use your golf club to hit shit? NTA. Great way to resolve this problem. Who cares if you never hear the neighbors? They're obviously liars and bad dog parents.
Ha 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 ha, I mean technically ESH, but holy shit, that's hilarious and I don't blame you.
NTA, and based. I wish there was a JH, justified asshole, ruling. This was a pretty shit thing to do, but absolutely understandable considering measures taken before. NTA. Personally, I'd be absolutely mortified if, due to my neglectfulness, I left my dog unsupervised to repeatedly crap in someone else's garden on a daily basis. I'm like a laser-sighted hawk following my dog on a walk, ever at the ready to collect his latest offering in a biodegradable plastic poo bag. NTA. Brilliant idea. Let them call the police. You have video evidence. I mean, yeah, Uda, but there isn't a jury in the world that'd convict you over this one. You did try and resolve it amicably at least twice, so they brought your assholery on themselves. NTA, they are, however. NTA. It's a nice way to practice your golf game and teach your neighbors a lesson. NTA. I'm so sick of dog owners acting so entitled. They should learn their lesson. NTA. Modern problems require modern solutions. NTA, and perhaps one of the best ways to return poo. NTA, next time mash it on their front door, smile. Dog owner here, and this frustrates me to no end. NTA. Lol, awesome outcome. NTA, you are a fuck hero. NTA, they fucked around and found out. Edit, plus you did your due diligence. NTA, as a dog owner, it annoys me to no end when other owners are inconsiderate like this. Gives us all a bad name. Had the same problem with my neighbor when we bought our house. I wanted to fling it back into their yard, with a shovel. I'm no golfer, but hubby said I wasn't allowed. Arg. Gotta keep nice with the neighbors. But the corgi was 18 and passed not long after, so I ended up never saying anything. NTA. NTA. Nope, I'm good with this. I have 2 dogs and their poo is my responsibility. I have actually done something similar with my neighbors and their dogs' poo. Although, it may not have been theirs, oops. NTA and thanks for the laugh. NTA. I'll probably have a horrible relationship with my neighbors forever now. This was their doing by basically shitting on you. Next time you see the dog off leash, call animal control. NTA, a friend had a similar problem and she put a sign up in her lawn, requesting no one allow their dogs to poop without it being picked up. Public shaming worked for her. NTA, they started off the relationship in a shitty fashion. You just replied in kind. NTA, but a little bit of a jerk because you didn't share the video of their dog before moving to throwing back the poop. One more conversation wouldn't have been overly burdensome, I think. Some people are the same way about their dogs and cats that others are about their children, unable to believe the darling could ever misbehave unless evidence is presented. Personally, I find it appalling that they let their dog out unattended and, therefore, unprotected in an unfenced area. Is that technically an odd thing to do? Yes. But it's the rare case where you're totally justified in being an ah. Also, they know it's their freaking dog and so they are ginormous, gaping us for one, letting their dog roam free, and two, not taking responsibility for it. So NTA, because the neighbors definitely are bigger ones. NTA, although a suggestion, you should have asked them what breed the stray is, size, etc. and established that it clearly couldn't look at all like their dog. Then told them about your video evidence and asked if they wanted to see it. Did you tell them you had repeated video evidence of their dog? I would have set the motion sensor to make a loud noise every time their dog entered your yard. TJA, totally justifiable assholery. Also, thank for that laugh. ESH. So you gathered evidence that it was their dog, but didn't actually share the evidence with them? I don't understand that. Maybe they legit thought it was the neighborhood stray. While I think there's a decent chance they knew, there's a non-zero possibility they were in the dark. If you had confronted them with the evidence but they still did nothing, what you did is fair, but you didn't actually do that unless I'm confused. So now your relationship with your neighbor is irrevocably broken and it didn't necessarily have to be that way. Imagine their aita post, we thought a stray dog was shitting in all of our yards. Neighbor gathered video evidence it was our dog, but rather than communicate that to us he took it upon himself to golf the shit into our yard. ESH. A simple shovel would have done the trick, instead of making it impossible to pick up on their side. NTA. I am wondering why you didn't show them the video, although I'm sure they knew their dog was doing it, so I guess that wouldn't make a big difference. My dog will definitely jump our fence and poop in the neighbor's yard, and eventually I did notice him doing that. He has a lead in the yard now to prevent that. I also live next to a park where everyone plays ball with their dogs. I've seen so many people not pick up after their dogs. It makes me happy to imagine you chipping poop into its rightful yard. NTA, you approached twice nicely. The relationship was never going to go well, and they ruined it by not picking up after their animal. NTA. Nicely played. Fences make for good neighbors. Put up a fence. You are awesome. I can't stand it when people don't clean up after their pets, and that include leaving your shit bags where you picked up the poop. I have one big dog and one little dog. I pick up their poop with the mutt mitts, then put that in 2 Ziploc bags and toss it in my backpack until I get to a trash can, not too hard. Same can go for people human shit that leave behind restroom buildings and along trails. To be honest, I am just tired of folks who cannot pick up poop, period. Keep chipping away. Info, how has this affected your other neighbors? NTA. You were never going to have a reasonable relationship with these particular neighbors if neither of them could take responsibility for a simple problem they are clearly responsible for. Your next best option was to set the boundary for behavior that will not be tolerated early and hold them to it consistently. Yeah, you could have done something more diplomatic, but honestly, they're likely to ignore a diplomatic ask and less likely to stop talking about the guy who flings their shit back to them. If I were you, I'd still look into making a municipal complaint, or whatever is appropriate where you are. Even if you don't follow through with action, when they inevitably try some other bullshit, you have a clearly established pattern of them being an irresponsible neighbor. You might never need it, but if you do, it will be well worth the small inconvenience now. NTA, I would have done the same thing. She never called the police because she knew you had evidence. NTA. We had a next door neighbor who had a wiener dog. He'd tie this long leash to the railing of his front steps. The leash was long enough that it reached our walkway to our front door. The weird thing is, he had a fenced-in backyard. Anyway, I went to mow that weekend and found 6 or 7 piles of dog turds in our yard and on our walkway by our steps. I cleaned them up and mowed. When I saw the neighbor, I told him what I cleaned up. He apologized and said he'd take care of it next time. The next time it happened again. When I told him, he said, "I can't help it. He has to take a ST somewhere." I told him, "But you can help by picking up after him." The third time it happened, I simply collected the dog ST, put it all in a scoop shovel and threw it on his front steps. We never had the same problem again. Ahahaha, yeah, you aren't. Return to sender. NTA. You did exactly the right thing. NTA, and you gave me an idea. I see a neighbor's dog running through my yard at 10:30 or so at night. They live a few houses up the street. I never had a problem with my short game but teeing off. Smile. NTA, this is hilarious. NTA. Maybe a less graphic version would have been to tell them, "Thank you for telling me that this was not your dog. This is so reassuring because next time the stray dog comes to my lawn, I'll have it shot/caught/put down." But still NTA. NTA. I appreciate your use of the word bunghole. Also, these people sound insane. I would move if possible. My last neighbors were just like this, they only get worse and have no boundaries. Sorry you've had to deal with this. NTA. It's entirely justified and your neighbors suck. Cop threats are just an attempt to force you to stop. Keep doing it and keep saving the videos. NTA, I applaud your solution to the issue. Check if it's illegal to allow dogs to wander without a leash and not pick up their poo in your area. Some places have fines for things like that. NTA, but aren't you covering yourself in dog shit with the chipping? NTA. Also, you could check your local laws. In many cities it is illegal to let your dog poop and leave it like that on another's property. NTA, and it's a double win cause now you don't have to socialize with your neighbors. NTA. What a good way to work on your short game, as well. Here's hoping you miss the sand traps. NTA. And no, you didn't destroy your relationship with your neighbor. It was already pretty shitty thanks to her dog. Info, op, did you at any point show them the video evidence? NTA anyway. It's just to solve some toing and froing in the comments. Much appreciated. NTA. I'd print a photo collage of their dog in the act and put it on a stake facing their yard. Also, I'd probably put up a picket fence. NTA, this is some gold level r/petty revenge, and completely warranted. I bet they'd love this too. No. You notified them twice and they didn't give a crap. They weren't initially neighborly, so why should you be? NTA. I have pride. I would never leave my dog's poop anywhere. I carry bags and pick up everything. These people are an embarrassment. It would have been a better strategy for you to have shown the video to your neighbors. Some people refuse to believe unless they see with their own eyes. Fences make good neighbors. And keeps dog poo out of your yard. NTA. Would have been funny if they had called the police, since you have video evidence that it's their dog. They're the ones who made the relationship bad. Not you. NTA. You tried speaking to them twice, both reasonably sounding, and they denied it even when you had proof. They just wanted to get out of picking up their dog's poop. NTA, I personally would have used cayenne pepper as a dog deterrent. Spray the perimeter of the yard, keeping unwanted visitors away. Only if you don't have a pet of your own. Duh. You had a terrible relationship with them anyway since they are Oz. Put a little fence barrier that the dog can get over since it's little. You also tell them you will start charging to be a pooper scooper lol. ESH, but you're justified. For the true asshole move, if they want to keep suggesting that it is a stray, then let them know that you'll be calling animal control on it since it's a stray. You never know if strays will get violent after all. You'll be doing the neighborhood a favor. OFC NTA. As a dog owner, it really triggers me when I see people like that not pick up their dog's poop. Even worse if they deny everything. NTA. This is honestly one of the funniest things I've read on this sub. All you were doing was returning their shit that they left on your yard. NTA, game recognize game. NTA. Though I would have gone the thanks, my uncle's gonna lend me a few bear traps so I can get rid of that stray for all our sakes. Man. You and I kindred spirits op. I got so tired of my neighbors letting their two dogs shit in my yard, after talking to them about it frequently. These weren't small breed dogs either. Didn't stop when I cleared it up and left a bag of it for them. But when I literally threw it all back onto their driveway and cars. It finally stopped after that. Honestly, it would have been bad for them if they got the police involved. You have the evidence of them not cleaning up after their dog and letting it roam around unattended without a leash, both of which are offenses for which your neighbors can be fined. NTA. NTA. You tried to be civil and approached the subject with them and were met with denial. It seems you've solved the problem. NTA. I prefer the other Redditors' idea to slingshot the poo onto the neighbor's roof in winter. When the snow melted, it accumulated in their gutters. I think I love you, dude. ESH. Why record it? Then not use the video. If you did indeed show the wife the videos and she still denied it, then NTA. NTA. The lazy liars shouldn't have lied and continued to allow their dog to poo on your lawn and leave it. I think your solution is appropriate and funny. NTA. Make sure you clean your wedge before your next round. NTA, but you have video evidence. The smarter thing to do would be to show them the video evidence and make it clear that if it doesn't stop, you'll be taking the matter to the police for failure to clean up after their dog and possibly civil court as well. There was no need to chip the poop into their yard if you just talked about it. NTA. There was also a stunt to put it in a paper bag and set fire to the bag. Not sure if this is an urban legend or if it actually works. Ha, nice. NTA. NTA, and I love your style. No sir, you are NTA. Far from it. You are a hero. You're telling me you starting swinging a golf club or something, I don't know golf terms, launching dog shit into your neighbor's yard? NTA, but the title made me think that you'd set up a huge wood chipper aimed into their yard and thrown all the dog shit into it. Beyond solving my immediate problem, I could also work a bit on my short game. Best line I've read on this subreddit. NTA. NTA. Win/win/win. No more poop in your yard, no more interaction with shitty neighbors. You got some golf practice out of it. NTA, that was awesome. 1000% NTA. I have done this too, admittedly not as fun as you, but I definitely place it back on my neighbor's lawn and even the front porch on a couple of occasions. NTA, you are my hero. NTA. Last summer I was sitting at my enclosed porch, enjoying the evening as the sun was starting to set. I saw a lady, who lives down the street from me, walking her large boxer-type dog. As my dog was sitting with me, she barked, so lady turned and looked at me sitting in my porch. About half an hour later, and still with enough daylight to see clearly, she walked by again, going home. Again, my dog barked and lady looked at me. She then proceeds to allow her dog to SHT on my lawn, and walk away without cleaning it up. The next day I went out and bagged her dog's gift. On my walk with my own dog, I tossed the bag on her front step. Kind as her gift was, I didn't need it, so I returned it. Set up an automation with a Bluetooth speaker and Alexa, when motion is detected, blast recording of someone shouting bad dog. NTA, you can't argue with success. I might have printed out a couple of stills from the camera and put it in their door first, but people can't be told they're wrong ever. NTA. It was either doing what Op did or getting motion activated sprinklers to give the dog a shower each time he tried to go there.